What's up, guys? We are back. That's my new trademark, Alex. I don't know if you like it. On the Wednesday, the second episode, we're back. But, Alex, you know what to do.
Hit the music.
So this one's personal. I'm going to be honest with you. We covered the UFL for the last 2 years. The Maulers. This one's personal. The Maulers lost to the Stallions in the championship. Me and Alex actually met there. So this one's personal. So I'm going to bring it back a little bit. Defender fans, please hold. It's hammer time, baby. It's hammer time. It's time for the Defenders to get all the revenge, all the redemption, everything against, make these opponents glue. That's it. I'll be the most hated person in Birmingham. We used to joke about me running for mayor in Birmingham. That's fine. Before we start, I just want to say that I respect the hell out of them. They are a tremendous organization. Zach Potter is probably the best GM in spring football. And to be successful in spring football, I think sometimes maybe tougher than taking over an NFL team, because you have to sell the idea of spring football being a benefit to talented players like Mark Gilbert or Adrian Martinez or Matt Corral. You know what I mean? Like, you have to sell the idea that, hey, man, like, you can get back in the league by coming here. Right. And I got to tip my hat to Zach Potter and the wonder kid that he is, because I call him a wonder kid because, you know, he's 16 years younger than me, which is crazy to me. So what do you think about Birmingham? First thoughts of Birmingham. I know we were USFL guys for the last couple of years, so we know a little bit about this team.
They're the team to beat. They're well coached. Skip Holtz does a great job. I mean, you know, look at how he's handled the quarterbacks. They're loaded offensively, a lot of weapons. They can run the football. They can throw the football. The defensive line has looked really, really good this year. There's so many things that they do well. But, they, not to go back to hammer time, but Pittsburgh had their chances in that game too. We had a chance to beat those guys. They're beatable. You know, you're going to have to play a perfect game. You're going to have to be good and be physical. But, you know, I'd like to see some of that Mauler defense this weekend from the Defenders, right? And, the physicality, run to the football, hit, be violent. And, I've said it a couple of times and we're still yet to do it. We didn't do it last week, but we got to turn this thing into a fist fight. We got to knock the quarterback down, make some plays. I think the defense is going to be the key to this game. If we win this game, it's going to be on defense.
I can't wait to see your prediction. I really can't. Talking about that.
Yours.
Yeah. Keys to the game, the line of scrimmage wars. I think this is so important because our offensive line, there are players that are standing out as a blocker. Liam Fornadell, who I'm featuring here. He's the highest rated PFF. And I know PFF is not the end all be all, but when it comes to the offensive line, it's tough to get stats to compare them all. Liam Fornadell is the highest graded run blocker, pass blocker in the league for a guard. But then you have the edge guys, and we talked about it in the last episode, that are one of the lowest graded. Mm-hmm. So I really believe, and I don't know if you saw the clip, and you probably watched the game, where the Stallion guy just basically threw Jaron Jones. Jaron Jones, who's a two-time All USFL, right? He's one of the only few that are two-time All USFL, and he just throws them back into the quarterback. They took out Case Cookis because of the defensive front just basically dominating that game.
Yeah.
Talk about the line of scrimmage, especially from a coach's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, two things. I think one, we got to be physical. That's obvious, but we got to do some things too. Get creative offensively to slow down that rush a little bit. There are different things you can do to sort of offset at that. Especially, I think at times, like we go back and look at last week. I think we went tempo on maybe like 2 drives. So, it's a situation where we're going to go tempo, or, we're going to let them we'll let those guys keep coming, and maybe we're dumping, some screens on them, hitting them with some draw, anything we can do to kind of keep them off balance. I think that's one of the things in the Memphis game. It just felt like they were able to just pin their ears back and kick butt. I think they had like 6 sacks. And, I didn't really see Memphis doing a lot to kind of knock them out of that a little bit, trying to control some of that with play calling. But at the end of the day up front, you can scheme all you want to, you can play call all you want to, but it comes down to who's going to be more physical and who's executing. And they're a handful up front. But we haven't played our best football yet on the offensive line either.
They're not just a handful up front; they're a handful of the entire defense. Let's be honest. And we'll talk about it. But like Scooby Wright, Tizino, DeMarcus Gates, like Mark Gilbert, Ike Brown. Like I'm just going out. Lorenzo Burns. This is just off the top of my head. Robinson. They have so much. They have so much talent on that defensive side of the ball. You need to give Tiamu time and to be able to run this offense properly, and it starts up front. And it's going to be such a battle for this game. And I hope they can figure it out.
Yeah, me too.
Number two for the 2 keys. Pick and choose when to be aggressive wisely. I put a picture of Greg Williams because he is the face of the team of being aggressive and being overly aggressive sometimes. I think Skip Holtz kills you when you become too aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I think he calls a great game. Let's be honest.
He does.
He is the quarterback whisperer of this league. I know we were talking about on our personal Discord today. Is he the greatest spring football coach of all time? And I don't know if you saw it, but I actually said, hey, we got to ask the old guy to bring up some USFL guys from back in the day. Is Skip Holtz the greatest? And it's crazy that we're talking about this, right? It's year 1 of the UFL, year 3 of the Birmingham Stallions this generation. But is he the greatest spring football coach of all time? And my question, I was going to say yes, and I'm the pony hater. You're the pony liker. I'm the pony hater this episode. Why is he not the greatest? I didn't know. We didn't plan this out. I want to hear this now. This is bonus content.
Jim Mora coached 2 years of the Philadelphia Stars.
Playoffs.
Exactly. Well, he made them every year with the Stars. So, they made it the championship game in year 1 as Philadelphia lost. Then won the USFL title in '84 with the Philadelphia Stars. And then they moved to Baltimore for their 3rd year. And he won the title that year, too. So Mora had the Stars in 3 championship games and won 2 of them. So he's a close second to Jim Mora in my book. But, of course, I'm going to go old school on you young guys anyway.
Yeah, of course. I was just being born when that happened. And I'm the old guy in the rest of the group, so I feel your pain. But you're telling me a guy that lost the championship game is better than a guy that has won 2 championships and has been dominant. Like they outside of a few games, like the Ballers had him on the ropes a couple times. The Breakers had a good performance. He's winning games 42-2. We watched this game this past week, and they blew them out. Like you said, you only kept the TV on because Troy Williams was in the game.
Yeah, that's it.
And maybe I'm ignorant here, but was Jim Mora's Stars teams like that?
They were tough. Like Sam Mills at linebacker, he was good. They had Kelvin Bryant, Chuck Fusina, and they dominated. I think that second year they were 15-3 overall, and clearly the best team in the league. In that 3rd year, I think they were 11-7 as Baltimore, but they got hot at the end. And they were really unbeatable. And they great defense, very physical, a lot like Birmingham. A good defense, a good running game with Kelvin Bryant. They ran for a lot of yards. They were efficient in the pass game. A lot of similarities now when you go back and look at it, to be honest with you. Well coached. Just like Skip Holtz. Skip Holtz has done a great job. He really has.
And I think Chavis doesn't get enough credit, though, the defense coordinator, because their defense has been their defense really dominated the USFL championship last year. And so far, while they've figured out their quarterback, they don't have an Alex Magoo back there, but they're figuring out the situation. Adrian Martinez takes a big step forward, but that defense has been dominant the whole time.
Yeah.
Like that defense was the weak spot last year, and it kept getting better and better. And in the championship, we saw it firsthand. They were dominant. Yeah. They were dominant against the Maulers, and now it hasn't skipped a beat. And they added players like Tizino. They've added players like DeMarcus Gates comes back. They've added players like Mark Gilbert, Tizino, Ike Brown, like all these guys that were standouts on their own club. And now you got a super team.
Yeah. You could make the argument that Tizino was the player of the year last year. in the USFL.
Are you still there? So John Chavis obviously is completely underrated in this coaching staff, and I think with Zach Potter and Skip Holtz being the OC and Chavis being the DC, they've kind of created this powerful triangle in spring football, and all I could do is tip my hat to them, because I really think Skip Holtz is the greatest spring football coach of all time.
Hard to argue with that. Yeah,
because you got to remember, you're talking about Sam Mills, and I know he was a little, but that USFL had talent in the league, right? Or top tier talent. Reggie White's a Hall of Famer, right? This is more, you got to convince these guys to buy in to get back to the NFL. And I think this is a tougher ask to try. It's almost like dealing with the transfer portal all the time.
That's true.
So.
Yeah.
Alex's favorite segment, W2, W4.
Exactly.
What to watch for? Pick one. I will let you go first because there's a lot of good names on this list. A lot of times I stretch. Like last week, I kind of added Chuck Long, and I was like, I'll throw Alex a curveball here because we really don't go over this a ton when we go in the preview. But this list was just so easy to produce. So I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah. It only took me 3 weeks to figure out W2, W4, but I got it now. I'll start with Adrian Martinez because I'll tell you what, I was a little surprised he got the start this past week against Memphis. And I was highly impressed with the way he played. He felt like he had control of the offense. He can beat you with his feet. He's very athletic. Even on the plays where he doesn't keep it and run the ball, he's mobile, so he can get out of trouble. Stretch plays out where you can make a play. Threw the ball very effectively. He was a lot better than I thought he'd be. Watching him play. So certainly a weapon. But I think the key to watch this week was that a one-time thing? If he's getting knocked on his butt, he's still a young pro. But if we're getting to him and we're knocking him down, or, Greg Williams, we're giving him a lot of different looks, and, maybe it's not always pressure, but maybe it's, trying to confuse him and make him have some bad throws. And then he starts to press a little bit. So it's what to watch for. He was almost flawless last week. Let's see if he can do it again this week.
Yeah, I think playing the Showboats, it's kind of a team that's on the downward spiral. So did he have a good drive and a good first half where he was playing well and the Showboats just gave up? It tends to be their MO if you watch USFL. They get down, and I know Todd Haley's not there anymore, but a lot of the players are. And I think you're right. Is Adrian Martinez able to put 60 minutes of football together 2 weeks in a row? That's the question that they have. And they've got a decent backup, let's be honest, with Matt Corral, right? Like they have options at the quarterback. I'm going to go with Lorenzo Burns.
Okay.
Because I think they have a tremendous secondary. It is so deep. We talked about the Ike Browns and the Mark Gilberts, and if they're healthy, they'll be there. Lorenzo Burns is so consistent. Their safeties are dynamic. The linebackers can cover, like we're going to talk about probably in a second. Tez or Scooby, DeMarcus Gates. I just think Lorenzo Burns is just that guy that he doesn't get a lot of publicity. He's not the biggest name back there, but he's so effective, and he's been effective his entire spring football career, and probably should get an opportunity at the next step. So I just wanted to call out Lorenzo Burns. Your turn.
My turn. I'll go with Kayvon Tizino. Not to steal your thunder, but I got to go with the old Mauler there. Tez is great. I love him. He was on our show a couple of times, and just a great human being, and love watching him play. And I can't help but pull for the guy. But my comment on Tez is it's like, he for a lot of people felt, and we did too, he was the USFL Player of the Year last year on defense. I think he certainly deserved it. No disrespect to Frank Genda, but certainly Tez is the man. But, it's for me, Scooby gets the hype. He's got the cowboy collar and the beard and all that stuff. And he shark dogs and paints his face black and all that stuff, whatever he does. He was a good football player at Arizona and whatnot. But I think Tez is a much better linebacker. I think Scooby gets the hype. Tez gets the tackles. I'd take Tez over Scooby any day of the week. I think I think these guys defensively, if we can punch them in the nose a little bit, hopefully Caden Smith will be healthy or Brawley Moore. We can go a little too tights on them, and we can come out and punch them and try to establish the run game just enough to open up the RPO game and have some balance where you're not in a situation like Memphis was. It could be interesting, but Tez is so tough in there. He's tough. So shout out to Tez.
Yeah, Tez is one of my favorite players to watch over the last couple of years. But I get left with Deion Kane, and I appreciate that.
Oh, that's a tough one to get left with. Why not?
Yeah, he's a Clemson guy. So I appreciate that. Deion Kane is the best receiver in the league right now. Yeah. Let's be honest. What he did in the championship last year, I will never forget, because every time he got an opportunity, he seized the moment. And it's tough. It's tough to get guys like that. I remember on the championship game, and it was on your side where you were sitting. Mm-hmm. He ran and handed the ball to like some kid that was like, "I love the Stallions," and he had to sign and everything in the championship. And the league came back and took the ball from him and gave him like autographed something from the Stallions. But the little kid, but Deion Kane he's awesome. This team is so talented, and then you got guys like Marlon Williams and CJ Maribel, and there's just so much talent.
How about Person running the football Saturday night? Boy, he was punishing people.
Yeah. He forces missed tackles, and that goes back to your thing about the linebackers. The linebackers have to be able to tackle. You cannot give these guys multiple opportunities and missing tackles. Like if you tackle a guy at the line of scrimmage or 1 yard, or you hit him, you have to bring them down there. You can't give them 4 or 5 yards because this offense is so dangerous. So
here's a matchup to watch for. Michael Joseph last week ended up stuck on Sal Cannella a lot. They've been playing Michael inside on those slot receivers, and they actually Arlington did a good job getting the tight end on Joseph, which is a tough matchup. I wonder if we'll see that this week as well with Jace Sternberger and Joseph having to cover him. So that could be a matchup to watch too. Sternberger gave our linebackers a hard time last year in the championship game. I know how good he can be. So let's see if he has Mike Joe on him, what he can do.
We'll see. But the matchup with Kane versus Conley or Baker is going to be exciting to watch too, because they're both. It doesn't matter if it's Conley or Baker. They're both.
Yeah, watch out for Kelly
big
too.
School.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to go over you, but Kelly,
watch
for him too, because Arlington really worked him over. Like they really went after him. I don't know what they saw, but in the first quarter of that game, that was another thing in my notes I forgot to bring up on the last show. They were going after 24. I mean, he was like getting thrown at every down. So I'll be curious to see, how it goes this week, and if they find somebody they want to single out.
All right, out of these 4, who do you expect to have the quietest game?
The quietest game. Well, if the quietest game comes from either of the 2 offensive guys, we got a chance to win. I'd say the quietest game. I'll go with your cornerback over there with Burns. I think Tez.
That was the easy one, man.
Yeah,
that was the easy one. That just.
Yeah.
I think the quietest game belongs to Deion Kane. I think Adrian Martinez will use different weapons to attack. I think Greg Williams will focus on stopping Deion Kane. And you might see a CJ Maribel game because, he's always destined to have like one game where it's just like, man, he looks like an NFL back and all for the entire 60 minutes. So I think that's the game. I think Deion Kane, and hopefully, and like you said, if the offensive 2 guys, Martinez and Kane, are having quiet games, that means we're in pretty good shape.
Yep, absolutely. We can win this game.
That leads to prediction time. I'll go first because I got the upset. I don't know what the spread is. Spread comes out on Wednesday when you guys watch the show. You'll know the spread. I think this is going to be a barn burner. I really do, because in all reality, with the running clock, 30 points is a lot of points in this league. It's like 400 yards of offense.
Yeah,
I think the defense confuses Martinez a little bit. I think what you talk about with the game plan, they have a full game of Martinez now with these weapons. I think Greg dials some things up that just makes maybe Matt Corral makes an appearance. Maybe if Jamar is active, makes an appearance. Just like, hey, because you always hear Skip on when you can hear the headset, don't see ghosts, don't see ghosts. You're seeing ghosts, you're seeing ghosts. And he told Magoo that. He's told Adrian Martinez that. He talks about everyone seeing ghosts. And I think Greg can confuse them just a little bit.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I think the offense can be effective enough to kind of match them. And I see just us pulling it out. And maybe I'm a homer, and maybe that's part of it. But I think DC. I truly believe right now, 1 through 4, if you compare the teams, XFL, USFL, the XFL teams have better teams than the USFL. And I think DC was the best team on the XFL, right? And I think right now they're not playing the greatest, but they are the winning team. And I think they figure out a way to beat Birmingham. Birmingham's always got to lose one game. Why not DC?
It's plausible. I mean, I'm not going to say no, and I like your prediction a lot better than mine. And if it happened, I wouldn't be too terribly surprised for the reasons you gave. I'm not gonna do the homer pick though. I tried to as bad as I wanted to. I thought, okay, just based on the body of work in this season and where we are, I think we're gonna have to control the run. We're gonna have to take away something offensively. They run the ball well, they throw the ball well. So it's like pick your poison. And again, on the last show I mentioned what bothered me was sometimes we were putting 7 and 8 guys in the box against Arlington and they were still punching it for 4 yards and 5 yards. That can't happen. I almost feel like we need to take away the run game and force them into a situation where Martinez or Corral, these younger quarterbacks, have to beat you and hope that your corners can lock up and you can play good enough in the secondary that they don't sting us. But if we don't take away something, it's going to be a long afternoon. Offensively, I think we're going to have to, I'd like to see us go 12 package, whether it be Smith or Moore. We didn't run any tempo this week. I'd like to see us go tempo more in the NASCAR tempo, not on the ball, check with me. I mean, I want to see, let's make the defense uncomfortable. We didn't see any of that this past week against Arlington, save for 2 drives and the drives at the end of the game and into the half. But I struggle with this offense as inconsistent as Teamu has been and as inconsistent as the run game has been going up against that front. I think points will be at a premium for us. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to go Ponies 26-15 based on what I've seen in the last 3 weeks.
So my question to you is, this offense has improved its performance for the last 3 weeks by scoring more points than the week before. You're telling me that their defense will affect it that much where they'll basically cut their points in half this week? Is that where you're going with?
I wish I was wrong. I don't see a consistency in our offense. It just, and that's no disrespect to Coach Keiss. I mean, we're rebuilding offensively, but I mean, there are issues on offense, and you can't in this league. I mean, hell, back in the day when you completed 50% of your passes, you had a great game, right? That was like, hey, I completed half of them. That's pretty good. Now with the offenses being like they are with these, you throw these little bubble screens and these little pop pass routes and whatnot. Excuse me. You 60-65% is not unheard of to throw for in a game. And I mean, Jordan's been hanging around 50% the last 2 weeks. And quite frankly, against a good team, he's going to need to be near perfect. And I just need to see it. And like I said, your prediction could happen. And trust me, I'd be happy as anything if it did. But just based on what I've seen offensively the last couple of weeks, we have some struggles.
Just fair enough.
Just saying.
Fair enough. I can't believe you went against us on the week of the ponies. On the week of the ponies. Like, it's the 1 week.
Oh, I know it. I know. But I will say this. I think Chris Blewett may be the greatest kicker in the history of spring football until we have Matt McCrane. And I'm telling you, it is Matt, you and Chris are like neck and neck. This game could come down to the battle of the 2 greatest kickers in the history of spring football. No question about it. So if you like kicking and you like to see it go through the goalpost, I will say this, though. How about the UFL kickers? How about this kicking game? They put some stat up over the weekend where they was like, these guys were like 18 of 18, and like every single one of them had a kick greater than 50 yards. Our kicking has been tremendous in this league. Unbelievably how good these guys are.
Well, when we do the UFL top 50 players,
8 kickers
for two seasons now, I have not put a kicker or punter in my top 50. So maybe finally I might see the light. But until then,
I had Blewett in my top 10.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go 1-0 this week.
1-0 this week.
Let's go 1-0 this week. And hopefully when we see you next Monday, it'll be a Victory Monday. But until our next visit, so long, everybody.
Shields up, Webb and Alex out.